Okay, Neil, in representing a buyer or tenant, I see that the form is annotated with our firm's listings and other firms' listings.
Right. We have talked about the REBNY environment. We've talked about the fact that that a broker in the REBNY environment that is representing the buyer is truly representing the buyer. So I would recommend annotating the agency disclosure form when giving it to a buyer or a tenant. And specifically, I would indicate that you are acting, the broker is acting as the buyer's agent when they show other firms' listings. And then there's a dual agency created when you're showing the buyer your firm's listings.
I noticed that the box for advanced informed consent is also checked.
Once again, I strongly encourage brokers to obtain the advanced informed consent to dual agency. It gives them flexibility. It makes it very difficult if you don't have that advanced informed consent. And again, I will remind you that the form talks about what if. It's not saying that the dual agency is created. It's simply saying to the buyer it could be created in the future.
And what happens when dual agency is created?
It's really important that once the dual agency is created, that you go back to the consumer and let them know that in fact dual agency was created. It's not enough to have the advanced informed consent. You must then confirm with the parties that dual agency was created.
Once the appropriate boxes for agency are checked, what happens next?
Again, the buyer's name needs to be printed in. They need to sign and date the form.
I noticed that the box for designated agents is checked off. What is this?
When we drafted the agency disclosure law, we recognized that brokerage companies had multiple agents, multiple offices. We wanted to give the brokerage company the ability to designate a particular agent in that office to represent or advocate on behalf of the interest of the consumer. So this is something that gives both the broker and the consumer flexibility. If you're representing a buyer, the buyer can say, I want this agent designated within the brokerage company to advocate on my behalf, and another agent in the same company to advocate on behalf of the seller, for example.
Okay. So how do you complete the form with designated agents?
You can simply type in the name of the agent that is being designated to represent the interest of the buyer or the seller. There is no obligation to complete the form by filling in the designated agents for both parties on the same form. But I do recommend that once you do have designated agents, you let the parties know who the designated agent is.